Is it? All right. It is Tuesday, February 9th. This is a work session for us for the month of February. And we have nothing scheduled coming in. Sometimes we schedule people to come in or set up some certain things to speak about. We didn't have anything scheduled, so I don't know if we want to recess or anything else you want to discuss, Commissioner Zoll.
No, just, since haven't been here a lot, I'm reading the job description of not job and family, but regional planning.
Mhm.
Seems to be, and I appreciate the work, the efforts that you put in on that. I understand that, what do you call it, posting is going out now.
Yeah, the update of that, it's gonna run
Gonna run for 10 days.
for 10 days, ever since they're on the board, and starting when?
I think she said the 11th. It's gonna start
Okay.
the 11th, I think.
So Thursday,
Yeah.
based on the timing of it. Once
So we
we
can
had
hit 2 weekends.
Yeah, once we had the meeting and they did want it over 2 weekends to hit 2 Sundays.
Okay.
So we had to,
Now, again, since I've been going to, I know they had regional planning last week, and are you the new president of regional
Yes,
planning? Okay,
yes.
thank you for stepping up there. Did they approve to have 2 commissioners on the board?
No,
On
they
the
were-
executive board?
it could have happened, but they weren't gonna make a bylaw change for that, because when they can't make a bylaw change on the fly, they have to do a reading and all that. But they discussed that once they did officers. Eric Keckler was interested, the mayor of Astoria, staying on as vice. And Gary Harrison was interested as secretary, and that's the only 3 officer positions, and then there's 2 other members. And
Barb for the bylaws.
that's committee though.
That's
Who was the
committee.
other? I know Paul Eichhoff ended up coming on.
Yeah.
Oh, who's the other one? Now I'm drawing a blank. But they were discussing at the time, and we mentioned Mike, somebody else had brought it up, said that Mike was interested in serving on the exec committee, but they wanted to put a township representative on, is what they felt they needed. They said, well, we've got a city representing the exec committee, you got the county on the mayor. The mayor was the other person.
Mayor, yeah.
So you had both cities on the exec committee,
Now, by laws, how many can you have on the exec committee?
5,
Only 5?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so that's you, Keckler,
Mhm.
Aaron,
Yeah, Gary Harrison,
Gary, and,
Paul Eichhoff.
well, I'll tell you, I do like the thing, I mean, let's just call a spade, we're the biggest dog
Yeah.
in the fight here, and I think that we should have 2 commissioners on it.
Well, they felt, like I said, they wanted to have all the groups that
Yeah.
represent a lot of people, and those townships represent the other half that, what we have. And they thought, if there's any issues that really get contentious, they said, that group's gonna bring it back to the full board. And he goes, in that case, everybody's part of it. There's 3 commissioners.
Okay,
Part of
the
it, so that
executive
was-
board can only make a recommendation to the full board,
Right.
correct?
Right, full board's gonna be the board that makes the
Okay,
major
okay, then I'm
decisions.
fine
The
with
exec committee's
that.
gonna be in terms of the employee, you're doing, responsible for the evaluations and those procedures with your employee. But the actual hiring, they're gonna bring back to the full board, like a budget. They might work it out, but it's gonna come to the full board for approval.
I'm just thinking
It's never
more-
going to be,
I'm
yeah.
thinking more of agenda.
Yeah.
You know,
agenda.
I want the county to set the agenda.
Well, that exec committee will set the agenda for.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, that's
Yeah.
why it's in, but I guess if you get township on there, then we have a little control on it. It's just one of these things, I wanna make sure that the county, since we're the biggest dog in the fight here, that we can at least have, if it gets to a contentious situation, that we have a little more power than the others. I hate to say that, but I wanna make sure that we protect the county.
But one thing I'm very confident in is with the adopted strategic plan, which has got a short term and a little bit of a long term, if you're talking 2020 is long term, some would consider that short term, 4 years away. But steps to the 5 focus areas. I am confident that we're going to get this stepped off in the right manner once we get a director on board, and guide and mentor and work with that director. And they've got that tool as a roadmap. And I don't know that it was ever that clear before. Not that there wasn't, the same mission statement that we're working on, is the same mission statement we had before, but, just, like I said, sometimes hindsight's 20/20, and we look back on it now, and, there was things that just weren't as organized before on behalf of the board. And I think the board's all in a much better place, and even members that night of the meeting said, I think this is the best, and I'm not trying to pat myself or my committee, my task force on doing the strategic plan in the back, but they said, for once, we now got some explanation or something. He goes, I've been on the board how many years, and I've never seen anything like this. So I think that was a testament, we just kind of had not happened, and we needed to make that happen. So I think we're in a good place.
Yeah, I would agree. I think from what I understand, when they formulated regional planning, there was clear direction and so forth. And since then, it's just kind of been almost like a poor stepchild and kind of just got a very gray area. Where's the function? Because I know in my 3 years here, I've had the toughest time trying to get my arms around regional planning. That's a tough one.
And I think regional planning is an organization that will be a phenomenal tool for the entire county, taking in every village, township, and municipality, and being helpful. And that vision is that they become the go-to for anything land use, anything related to any issue a township might have, and they don't know where else to turn, go there, and that might not be where the answer's gonna come from, but that person having a good understanding in time, right out of the gate with a new director, will be able to direct them and say, with that kind of an issue, you need to talk to this group, or here's the information, or here's where you'll find that online, whatever it might be, and be extremely beneficial and helpful tool to them that, they're paying an assessment, and I want all stakeholders to feel see a value for what they're paying. And I think we can salvage that and make sure they are seeing that with these things in place.
Okay. Again, since my schedule, when the resumes come in and so forth, I won't be here for all that. I'd like to, if you could scan them and email them to me or so forth, I'd like to at least have some input on that if I could.
I think you'll be back by then.
Yeah, what are
I'll be back the 29th. I'm missing the next 2 meetings.
And we got a recommendation for those to be in by, what's the date?
But the 20th,
26th.
21st is what we talked about this
The
morning.
26th
Is when they're due.
is when they're due,
Oh, so I'll be fine then.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
And then we'll set up and be reviewing them and
I
all
did-
of, all of that stuff. And, we're gonna start the process, but we're not going to say that's the cutoff. That's when, come the 26th passes, then we start the review of them and working through the process. But if we don't have the right applicant, then we continue the process. I think kind of until filled, I guess is a way to look at
Yeah.
that. Because they got concerned in the meeting, and it was a good point. They said, we put a deadline, and then you gotta feel like I said, so don't make it a deadline, just that applications, due this day, but yet, again, we're gonna continue that.
I talked with Joe at Soil and Water this morning to make sure that we're still moving ahead and we're not just, have not hurt the county with that void in that position, and they felt that it's, there's no issues there, so the functions, maybe with, I think with WSOS and this office filling in here and Soil and Water, belling up the bar a little bit, I think that we're limping along.
Yeah.
And we're not, the county's not suffering immensely through this, so.
No, I don't
Then
think
that
so
would,
either.
that would feed into, you're saying is, you don't wanna gun to your head that say, hey, I gotta make a selection by X and X date. I would support that.
Yeah.
I'd support that.
Right, and I think it's key that those non-paying stakeholders, soil and water, the county engineer, any other entity, economic development, I think they all realize and have been very supportive of us getting regional planning, keeping it going and making sure that the direction's there, so it's, a fully functioning office and so forth. So I think that speaks volumes to those who are paying the assessments about needing this and the value they get, because it's a minimal, in a sense that they're paying, but again, they deserve some value for what they're paying, because those dollars are important to their budgets too, because their budgets are very small for those townships, so.
No, I haven't talked with Mark. Is he kind of overseeing the billing, what we're doing here for the sewer districts?
He's walked Tanya through, but she's handling it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
now,
he's fine with what we're doing, and
Yep.
we're crossing every I and dot every T, or
Yep.
vice versa.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm gathering that he's appreciate from the way she's explained some stuff, appreciate the fact that the detail she's putting to it, and drilling down into making, sure that parcels are covered, everything's in each one. And, every time you switch whoever's responsible for something, you might come up with a better way of doing it. Software may have changed and made it better, and that she said there's gotta be an easier flow for the way the bills were printed out versus there was a little more manual steps to it than what, there's other ways to do it. And so Mark's open to those ideas and appreciates, that attention to detail. That board asked Tanya, they said, how much time are you spending? And, she indicated, correct me if I'm wrong, but, a lot more at the beginning than what I thought, but it's coming along. So what I think would be nice is that whomever comes in, that director, and if that director works out whatever they do staff-wise, there's gonna be 100% confidence that we've got somebody to answer questions. With the changeover, so, somebody moves on to another position, you don't have that person at your beck and call. Our staff's not going anywhere, so they'll be able to ask questions of this staff and have it running, whereas before, we're like, well, we can come help figure it out, but we didn't know from experience.
There's
We will
continuity.
know from experience, yeah, this office will, so.
That's monumental with Tanya and Stacy in this office, picking that up, and monumental. On the next thing, where do we stand at with the museum? We let the contract last week, right?
We
Is that-
accepted the bid.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Marks makes the decision. Well, we only had one bid,
Right,
Yeah.
so,
We accepted the bid, and we had the additional things that we approved,
yes,
and so she was getting adding that all into the contract. I know I signed all the stuff,
yep.
moving through, and then I know they were going to set the time to do a review meeting, and then we want to also do that with stakeholders, kind of a pre-con meeting.
where are we gonna go, because to look at grants, is WS gonna, we talked about if there's any grants available or things from beyond the local historical society to help us cover some of those additional costs.
The
I mean,
museum.
who's gonna do that?
We'll have to ask for some assistance from those in that world, between the foundation and the historical society. And I know, in establishing the task force that we have going now, when I reached out to the Hayes Center, Wood County Museum, they all cited out, as well as the group that Brenda is with, Clyde Museum, but the Ohio Historical Society, about avenues for some grants and stuff. And so now that we know what we've got and what we might need money for, we can probably research that a little bit and see if there's something there.
That's what I wonder, I mean, so
Yeah.
that we get people that are experts, and are we better off to go to WSOS? Since we don't have regional planning to go out and search this, we don't really have,
I think
the
we could,
capability.
do the preliminary search of finding out what they've got, because of, with those same network of folks we worked with before. And I can, call Brenda up and ask her and kind of point me in the right direction, that, hey, here's a website you can look at and see if something fits. I think we can do that much, and then some grant applications are pretty straightforward in a couple of pages, and some of them are pretty complex, so it's gonna depend on what we learn.
my strong preference, because all that else is going on here, is to go to WSOS and say, here, and they can get their admin fees out of it. If there's
Mm-hmm.
admin fees, research the grants that are available. Those are experts at doing it instead of us.
And if
Fiddle
we need
farting around with
that
it.
help, they need that admin fee, but if it's minor, and we can save that admin fee for the money for the project, I mean, I guess there's two ways to look at it. I mean, but you're saying, if it's something that's a lot more complicated, yeah, I'm not against it, but.
My preference is to give it over to the experts, let them do it, and you pay the price for it, but as it is, we got nothing now.
Yeah.
We may be able to do it of messing around with it ourselves. You go right to the experts, and I think you'll get more. And that's just my opinion, and, on the whole process.
I know Mike reached out to Bill Reineke and sent him some information
Well,
on
that's
the
right, they did
project.
have some, yeah.
So,
Well,
Yeah.
Bill certainly
There
would
was
be,
some capital stuff they were looking
Yeah, well-
at, trying to have some projects for,
would be a good source, but,
yeah.
I mean, I would think, Ohio Historical Society, the US, I mean, there's gotta be funds out there for this kind of thing, and I prefer to put the best people on the job and just get it done. Get it done and get the most in for us. That's always my approach to anything, is I don't like to go halfway. Just leave it at that.
Anything else, or do we want to recess for 15 minutes? Because we can't really call a regular meeting to order until 10.
I am not gonna sit there.
All right, we'll take a break. Just because we have to.
Pretty easy.